Hey, I kinda like Smash Brothers, so I'm gonna compare Melee Luigi and Ultimate Luigi. But first, two things. I know that both of these games have very different engines and physics, but I mean it's the same character at the end of the day. I think it'd be kind of interesting to see how this character's changed and evolved over 20 years. Secondly, I'm by no means a pro at either of these games, but I will say that I'm competent at both of these games, so I feel like I know at least a little bit of what I'm talking about. That being said, I'm gonna split this video into a couple of sections and they're listed right here. First things first, what kind of character is Luigi? Well, I consider both of these variations of him as bait and punish characters. And in case you don't know, well, a bait and punish character is gonna bait you into doing something and they're gonna punish you for it. But let's get into the specifics. Looking at Melee, Luigi has a lot of spatial control, which is mostly due to the fact that he can schmoove all over the stage. He has really low traction, the lowest in the game in fact. So what this means is he can do a couple of wave dashes and be at the other side of the stage in a heartbeat. Mine aren't perfect, but even then I can still get across the stage pretty quickly. And he also has pretty good control over the platforms. And he doesn't have the best buttons, but they're good enough to help him maintain a meaningful stage presence no matter where he's at. Something else that's important to mention is that he's a very floaty character. So whenever he jumps, he can stay in the air for a significant amount of time and use that to cover whatever airspace he's near. Melee Luigi's unorthodox movement can have his opponent constantly guessing when he's going to approach, when he's going to back off to claim his space, wait for the opponent to overextend, and punish them, hence the archetype bait and punish. He has a couple of decent combos, but nothing at the level of other high tier characters in this game. But yeah, I'd say his main game plan is pretty much cover as much space as he can, try to make his opponent overextend, either by intruding on his space, or mixing up his approaches and just punishing whatever his opponent does. And when I start to think about it, he's kind of a mishmash between bait and punish and rushdown, simply due to the fact that he can be all up in your face and pressure you. But that being said, let's move on to Ultimate Luigi. In this iteration, he's kind of like a pseudo grappler. Now what do I mean by that? How are this guy and this guy the same, eh? Well, generally, grapplers have a lot to gain when they grab you, so they're gonna do their darndest to get in and land one on you. Classic example. EX command grab, boom, he's got plus frames. You have to guess if he's gonna grab you again or if he's gonna try to hit you. Either way, it's a guessing game and you're always gonna pick the wrong option and take a lot of damage. But as for Luigi, well, it doesn't work quite the same, but I will say that he does want to land a grab most of the time because he has a lot to gain from it, no matter what percent you're at. And look, I know you're all thinking it, so yes, I have to mention the Luigi 0 to death off his grab. You've all been hit by it, you've all been there, but even if you're not at 0%, he can still do some pretty nasty things off a down throw. Like he could get a nice back air, he could do down throw down B, which could end up killing you because you don't know which way to DI, just straight up back throw for the kill, or if he's dog-like, down throw up B. No matter what happens, you're gonna either die or take a lot of damage. Anyway, besides the whole pseudo grappler thing, he was sort of hurt by the engine and physics changes since the days of Melee. He no longer has the lowest traction in the game, and he's nowhere near the bottom in fact. But it doesn't really matter as much, since you can't really wave dash in this game, at least not like in Melee. So while Luigi might not have as much spatial control, the space that he does control in Ultimate is extremely dangerous, and you have to think twice about how you want to approach him, because he could end up baiting you into whiffing an attack and punishing you with the grab, or you know, smash attacks or tilt attacks, whatever he wants, but generally it's going to be a grab. Alright, let's talk about the neutral for these two guys. In Melee, Luigi can be a very hot and cold character. He's got to keep his opponent guessing not only where he's going to attack from, but even when he's going to attack them. When he approaches, he can pretty much use whatever buttons he wants due to him having a really good wave dash. But there are some options I find myself using more often than other moves, such as back air, forward tilt. Sometimes I'll wave dash up smash, and down B's a pretty good option, believe it or not, but use sparingly of course. Because the thing is, sometimes Luigi can have a hard time approaching or he just wants to steal a turn, so down B is a pretty good surprise option. I mean, look how far this can travel and how fast. Especially on their platform, it's a pretty good option because it knocks the opponent straight up. But like I said, he shouldn't use it too much because it's very easy to jump over and counter it. But for the most part, Luigi's gonna want to wave dash in and out and on platforms, and he's gonna try to confuse his opponents as to when he's gonna come in. Something I should mention is that Luigi has the lowest aerial drift in the game, so he can't necessarily just jump directly at his opponent like Mario or Falcon. So this is kind of why he has to wave dash. But instead, he could decide to play it more cool. Then it becomes a game of baiting and punishing. Luigi sliding around everywhere saying, "Come get me." When his opponent whiffs, then there's the punish. And if he can try to get an up tilt or a grab, which can lead to some pretty good combos. But with good DI, his opponents can go away from it. Especially since, like I said, he has a very low aerial drift. He can't exactly chase in the air. Something he struggles a lot with in neutral is disjointed hitboxes. So Marth is like a pretty hard matchup for Luigi. He can't really get in there because Marth's sword covers a good amount of space around him. So his approaches would get snuffed out pretty badly, and his attempts to run away wouldn't be as effective because, well, Marth can chase pretty well. He also struggles a lot with projectiles, especially something like Falco Laser. It kind of just like kill all the momentum he has and lock him down to a certain spot, which will make it easier for Falco to just approach and attack. I've been hit by this so many times playing online. I feel I should mention that shielding with Luigi is a very mixed bag because any attack that hits his shield can push him back pretty far because of his low traction. So it can make it hard for him to punish, or it can make it hard for his opponent to continue the pressure. But for the love of God, never use this move. He will always end up losing, no matter what. Alright, moving on to Ultimate, it's a little less freeform in comparison. Luigi still has pretty decent mobility, notably having a decent dash and pretty good run speed, but he's not nearly as mobile as other characters. As far as his main attacks go, he's gonna use grab and neutral. Wow, surprise, surprise. But he has a couple of other options to sort of poke at his opponents, and in some cases he can even land some pretty decent combos, apart from grab. Notably, his fireball can get much more utility in Ultimate. He can use it to poke his opponents from the mid-range. And in comparison, Luigi doesn't really use fireballs in melee because he's kind of a sitting duck in a fast-paced game. There's plenty of ways to get around it quickly and punish him. But anyway, projectiles are pretty good in Ultimate. Any character that has any projectile will get good utility out of them, even if it's as simple as Luigi's fireball. I've also seen a lot of Luigi's online using his Z-Air as a projectile from up close, but to be honest, I don't quite understand why people use it. There's not much to gain from it, and I feel like it's just kind of a time waster. I understand if he uses it when he's an advantage, but I've seen people use it in neutral. It doesn't make sense. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, he still doesn't have the best aerial drift, so it makes it kind of hard for Luigi to approach in neutral. Not saying it's impossible, it just feels very awkward to do it. That being said, he can get some pretty decent combos from a straight neutral air, straight up air. Up tilt's pretty good as well. His back air can get some pretty good utility as well. It's a nice good meaty hit to kind of poke at his opponents with. And also, believe it or not, shielding is a pretty decent option in neutral for Luigi. He can be pretty scary if you hit his shield with a laggy aerial. We're talking shield grab, up smash, or dog forbid, up B out of shield. So yeah, Luigi's not really gonna approach as much. He's not gonna play campy per se, because he doesn't have a far-reaching projectile, but he's gonna play it a lot more cool in comparison to melee. And yeah, that's pretty much all I can say about his neutral. Again, it's not as freeform as melee. He's kind of limited in what he can do. Luigi's neutral is kind of like solving a Rubik's Cube, but once you figure it out, you can get going. Which brings me to my next topic. Luigi in advantage state can be a true menace to society. A good majority of his attacks send the opponent upwards, and that's really where he wants his opponents to be. Again, he can't necessarily land combos like Falco or something, but he's gonna make it so if you get hit, you're gonna be stressed out trying to get back down. Platforms are not safe at all. If his opponent tries to land on one, he'll be there. Even worse if they have to tech on one. The combination of good mobility and aerials are gonna help him keep that pressure going. As far as kill options go, downer is really where it's at. This move has really high knockback for some reason. Well, the sour spot does. technically the sweet spot is the dick spike, but sometimes I find myself landing it on accident when I would have gotten the kill. Instead it just spikes my opponent toward the stage, which is kind of dumb. But yeah, Sour Spot Downer is a pretty good choice to straight up kill opponents or set up an edge guard situation. And his edge guard is nothing to scoff at. He can use forward air, back air, or down air again to secure the kill off stage. But the thing is, he can't really cover too far off stage because aerial drift very low, and his recovery is mediocre. But he can guard that edge, you know what I'm saying? Luigi kind of guard that edge sometimes. His up B can be a decent tool to use, but it has to be either a hard punish, a hard read, or a tech chase type thing. And even then, it's not nearly as strong as it is in Ultimate. His smash attacks are pretty decent, but they're not exactly the best for killing. Sometimes he just catches his opponent DIing the wrong way, and he can get a kill off that. Moving back to Ultimate, Luigi's advantage state is pretty decent. He has a lot to gain from making his opponents panic and pick a bad option because he has really explosive punishes. But the problem is, he's not exactly the best at chasing, certainly not as good as he is in Melee. Like I said, he has a good run, but he's limited to just that because, again, his aerial drift is not the best. But one of the best things that his opponents can do for him is air dodge in. His aerial attacks make it so his opponents want to air dodge is the thing, because his back air is a pretty nice and meaty hit. And obviously in Smash Brothers, no one wants to be off stage. So a lot of the time they're gonna panic and either try to land back on stage with an aerial or air dodge in, or I don't know, something. But as far as his kill options go, they're pretty straightforward. Nice, good back air, back throw, down B, up B, up smash, F smash, Jesus. Luigi has a lot more kill options in this game than Melee. And it's not like he had trouble finishing his food in Melee, he just kind of had to work a little more for it. But I feel like in Ultimate they kind of went a little overboard with the amount of kill options that Luigi has. But it's fine, I mean, it's not like it makes him OP or anything, it's just kind of interesting to note. So yeah, like in both of these games, his advantage state is pretty good. He's gonna want his opponent to panic and, you know, pick a bad option. Well, I guess most characters want that, but he has a lot more tools that can sort of like pressure them into doing that. In comparison, Luigi in disadvantage, oh god, in both games, he can, okay, at times he can be a real turn stealer if his opponent isn't expecting it, but it can be baited and avoided. The thing is, he can have a lot of trouble landing from up high. He's not a fast faller, and you already know what I'm going to say, he does not have good aerial drift. He can't really stall in any significant way, and the moves that cover the space directly below him are attached to his hurt box, so it can end up trading with a lot of other moves. Unless it's a disjointed hurt box, then he's really screwed. But yeah, back to the turn stealer thing. One of his main tools that'll help him with that in both games is down B. They work a little bit differently in both games though. In Melee, Luigi falls like a rock when using down B. It's kind of funny looking at it, but it definitely helps him touch the ground faster. And if he happens to hit his opponent, all the better. In comparison, Ultimate takes a very different approach to his down B. He does fall a little faster, but that's not what helps him land. It's the fact that he has invincibility while doing this move in the air. Oh my god, I'm gonna be sick. Frame 1 invincibility, frame 1 to 4 invincibility. He only has 2 frames of vulnerability, and then the hitbox comes out. And also, his down B has a wind box now. Makes sense, right? Luigi Tornado. It's a tornado, why wouldn't it have wind? But it can make interactions kind of wacky. Like, it can suck you in, it can push you away, it can make you hate your life. It's a pretty important tool, but at the end of the day, in both games, it can easily just be avoided, and Luigi could get punished for it. Luigi can also steal turns with neutral air. It comes out incredibly fast for an aerial, and the hitbox is right on his legs. So any attacks coming from below, he's gonna snuff it right out. But it can kind of create like a scramble situation, especially if he trays with it. If this happens, then both opponents are in the air, in hit stun. It's weird. It's weird. But anyway, moving on to Luigi's recovery, it's pretty similar in both games. He has to really rely on combinations of side B, up B, and well-placed double jumps. It's very exploitative though, because his moves are highly committal. Because, you know, side B goes directly in a horizontal line, up B goes directly in a vertical line. His only diagonal movement is his double jump. And he also used to be able to recover with down B as well, but they kind of got rid of that in Ultimate, and instead they just gave him a higher reaching up B. But yeah, if he gets knocked too far away, he has to pray and hope for the holy misfire. And this can also create a couple of scramble situations. He can hit his opponent with it while recovering, or he can just go completely past them, completely over the stage, and die because of it. But yeah, misfire is kind of a mixed bag. And it's RNG. Yay. Everyone loves RNG. In Ultimate, he can also air dodge to the ledge. You can't exactly do this in Melee, but yeah, it's a decent option every now and then. Yeah, so Luigi can be edge guarded pretty badly just because his recovery is not that great. I think this is one of the things holding him back from being truly good in this game. Imagine if he had he just had Firefox or something, right? or if he can angle his green missile. That'd be kind of weird, but it would help him a lot for sure, and he'd be pretty good, I would say. He'd definitely be higher up on the tier list if his recovery was better. But oh well, here we are. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. I could have gone way more in depth about this, but I don't want this to be like a 2-hour long video going over every little minute move that Luigi can do in both games. I gotta work on other stuff, guys. I just kind of hit the main highlight points, but yeah, it's always fascinated me how Luigi is the same character in both of these games. He pretty much has the same moves, but he feels so different in both games. And you know, just because the two games are very different and they run on different engines, and even then you can change one move and his whole game plan changes up by a lot. His grab. But yeah, I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. Make sure to check out my other stuff. I make pretty good analysis videos. My last one is Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. The first one, I think it's a pretty good video. Or if you like other Mario sports titles, Mario Tennis Aces, and how it's like a fighting game, I talk about Mario Power Tennis, and I've also talked about Mario Strikers. So if you guys like Mario Strikers, definitely give that a watch. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys have a good one. Dog bless your day. Have a good one.